now for today's entertainment headlines. We're joined by Etalk's Tracy Melchior. Tracy, good morning to you. Happy Monday. Let's talk about the Screen Actors Guild Awards. They were handed out last night. So let's get right into the highlights. Squid Game stars Lee Jung-jae and Jung Ho-yoon, they made history.
Absolutely, they did. Squid Game, the monster hit from Netflix, became the first Korean TV show and the first foreign language TVs to win SAGs. They won 3 in total, including individual awards for Lee Jung-jae and Jung Ho-yeon. And it was just a beautiful moment to see how excited the cast was and how grateful they were, because you have to remember the SAG Awards are actors voting for other actors. So I'm sure it means an extra special place in their heart to be honored this way in Hollywood.
For sure. Such an important recognition. Can't wait for Squid Games 2 to come out. Hopefully those talks are being solidified. All right, and more history being made at the SAG Awards with this film, Coda. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. Coda, a beautiful coming-of-age story. Coda actually stands for Child of Deaf Adults, won outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture, marking the first time a cast made up of predominantly deaf actors won this award. It also made history for its star, Troy Kotsur, the first deaf actor to win outstanding performance by a male in a supporting role. Just a beautiful movie. If you haven't seen it, it just tugs at Marlee Matlin. She was brilliant last night in her speech. And another historical moment last night, oh, I just love Marlee Matlin, was with her win for Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. Ariana DeBose became the first Latina to win outstanding performance in a supporting role, as well as the first queer woman of color to do so. So congratulations to her. She looked just gorgeous in this pink gown, and half of her hair was shaved on the side, and she's just beautiful on the red carpet.
Yeah, I loved watching her in West Side Story, that ensemble for the America song and her yellow dress. Really stole the film. And next up, Tracy, let's talk about Succession. I think I'm on to season 2 now, but it's winning for Best TV Drama, and yeah, we can see why, right?
Obsessed with Kerry Washington's yellow dress. Okay, yeah. One of my faves, and one of your faves, Jen. Succession took home the top prize for outstanding performance by ensemble in a drama series. Brian Cox, aka Logan Roy, accepted for the ensemble, and of course, you know, he was provocative and fun and brilliant, and also heartfelt when he's talking about what's going on in the world. Jean Smart, if you haven't watched Hacks, watch Hacks. She won for outstanding female in a comedy series for her brilliant portrayal of stand-up comedian Deborah Vance. Will Smith, he finally got a SAG Award, 3 times nominated, first time winning for his fabulous work in King Richard. And it was really nice to see a cutaway of Denzel Washington standing up. There he is, and applauding him. So much pride. And Jessica Chastain is getting her flowers for her spectacular work in The Eyes of Tammy Faye. And glad to see her recognized for that awesome movie. And of course, Etalk, covering all things entertainment. We were even backstage virtually. Tyrone caught up with all the winners, and especially one of the night's biggest, Jason Sudeikis, whose show won 2, one for outstanding comedy one for outstanding ensemble in a comedy, and personally for male actor in a comedy series for his role, obviously, title role of Ted Lasso. And let's see what Tyrone and Jason had to say.
Okay.
Going into season 3, is this the positive Ted Lasso energy that you need?
I mean, we already had it. It was self-made, self-contained at this point. This
100%.
This is legitimate gravy on an already decent mashed potato.
Yes, definitely.
I like that analogy.
A show that, you know, Nick and I, we've been talking about seeing it. It's like everyone's seen this except us. So that's definitely on the list, as well as King Richard. We were supposed to watch that this weekend, but the kids hijacked the TV. So those 2 are definitely on the list.
I totally understand that.
Yeah. Tracy, always a pleasure.
Good seeing you, Jen.
Yeah,
Happy Monday.
Okay, you too. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
While many symptoms of multiple sclerosis patients are tied to physical disabilities, the consequences that are often overlooked are those that are invisible to the naked eye. This can take a severe toll on the mental well-being of those with MS and especially their loved ones. U of T neuropsychiatrist Dr. Anthony Feinstein, I should say, delves into the topic with his just-released book, Mind, Mood, and Memory, the Neurobehavioral Consequences of Multiple Sclerosis. And Dr. Feinstein joins us live now on CP24 Breakfast. Dr. doctor, good morning to you. Let's talk about this book. Why did you decide to write it, and who is it for?
Well, I've been researching the behavioral aspects of multiple sclerosis for nearly 30 years. The book is written for neurologists, neuropsychologists, psychiatrists, social workers, but also for people with multiple sclerosis. And my hope is that it can educate people about the behavioral consequences of MS, the many changes in behavior that occur with this very difficult disease.
And these behavioral changes that you're talking about, is this something that's always been on the radar of the medical world, or is this something that you kind of discovered through your years of work running your own neuropsychiatry clinic?
It's becoming increasingly apparent to neurologists, for example, that this is a very important aspect of multiple sclerosis, but it hasn't always been this way. There have been a number of behavioral difficulties that are missed in a neurology clinic. Depression, for example, can be overlooked. Cognitive problems may be missed, and the consequences for people with MS can be considerable if these difficulties are not detected.
Right, and Dr. Feinstein, you talk about something called unraveling of the personality, and that certainly sounds very scary when you factor in other things such as depression, slow processing, loss of memory. What exactly is the unraveling of personality? Why does this happen to people who suffer from multiple sclerosis?
Well, for certain individuals who have very significant brain involvement, you can start seeing changes in personality. So individuals who were once very active may develop a degree of apathy or disinterest in what's going on around them. Their kind of engagement in the world starts changing. Spouses no longer recognize the behavior of a husband or a wife. The person that they married 20 years back doesn't seem to be the same person now. Mm-hmm. And you see this with advanced multiple sclerosis. And it really shouldn't be surprising because MS is a brain disease. And as the brain becomes increasingly involved in people with MS, you can find these very core behavioral attributes start changing, which can be very difficult to treat and, of course, very difficult for loved ones to live with.
Right, and you talk about difficult to treat. So how exactly do you start diagnosing someone that may be suffering from these behavioral changes with multiple sclerosis? And what is the treatment that is working right now for this?
Well, it depends what the problem is, but everything starts with taking a very clear history. You then go on to do a mental state assessment. As part of that, you do a very detailed cognitive assessment, looking at things like memory and processing speed and your ability to make decisions and plan things. So you bring together the multiple strands of the assessment to arrive at a diagnosis and a conclusion. And depending on what the problems are, you tailor the remedy. So, for example, if it's depression, you can use medication or something like cognitive behavior therapy. If there are cognitive difficulties, you can use cognitive rehabilitation to try and speed up information processing or to try and reverse or lessen some of the consequences of impaired memory. When you're dealing with personality that changes, it becomes even more complex to treat because these are hardwired changes within the brain that can be very difficult to reverse. And often the therapy centers on trying to help the person live with it and to use psychoeducation to explain to loved ones that, this is what's happening with your husband or your wife, and to try and, get people more familiar with what's going on, which can be a very difficult process for loved ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Anthony Feinstein, a professor of psychiatry at the University of Toronto, also the author of Mind, Mood, and Memory, the Neurobehavioral Consequences of Multiple Sclerosis. We appreciate your time and raising more awareness on this awful disease. Thank you.
The Jammal Magloire Foundation is going to be hosting its second annual Above the Rim live interactive charity event. It's happening at the Dawn on Danforth.
And here to tell us more about the foundation and tonight's festivities is Toronto Raptors assistant coach and community ambassador Jammal Magloire. Jammal, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Great to have you with us. This is really exciting, the second annual event. I know that it got kind of postponed to the in-person because you had that close contact with Masai Ujiri at the Giants of Africa event. So tell us about tonight's vibe. Is it going to be as exciting as the Scotiabank Arena was last night for the Raptors game, now that full capacity is allowed?
It's going to be just as exciting, if not more. I'm very excited about this initiative. As you said, it's my second annual. Last year, it was on It was virtually due to the pandemic, and the team was in Tampa. So I'm excited to be able to be around these great athletes, have a roundtable discussion, and raise some money doing it. It was supposed to be back December 9th, but due to Omicron, we weren't able to have this event. I'm excited to do it now, March 2nd. We were able to feed 400 families with this initiative. With the help of Longos, we were able to have 400 gift cards. We dispersed them between Ava's, Youth Without Shelter, the Children's Breakfast Club, and some local basketball teams. And you could just see the jubilee on their face. I owe this city a lot because I've been here, born and raised. And this is a passion of mine, is to give back to the city that's given so much to me. And tonight's going to be a great night. I encourage everybody to get on my website, JammalMagloireFoundation.com, to donate and try to get whatever tickets are left for tonight. It's going to be a great, great night.
And Jammal, like you said, you like to give where you live, and you're certainly helping give back to the community, no doubt about that. For people who may not have been last year, or maybe just be hearing about this, what can you expect to experience if you get to this Above the Rim event?
With Above the Rim, you're going to expect a lot of fun. You're going to expect a lot of humor. Our panel is very diverse. We have Miranda Aline, which is a 3-time Olympian. We also have Akeem Alou, which is a professional hockey player that started the Hockey Diversity Alliance. You have Gary Trent, which is very comical. OG, as you guys know, is a great guy, and Delano, along with Dwayne Desario, Toronto former FC player, Cabby as the host, and myself. So a lot of different people from different walks of life that we're just going to touch on some topics that are current and things that people want to know and find out about us.
Right, that sounds certainly exciting, Jammal, and you do have a stellar lineup. Can you touch more on the interactive component for people attending? Because it is supposed to be interactive, right?
Yeah, I think for the most part, question and answers. People, especially our supporters, our fans, have so much questions that they have for us because they usually just see us on TV. They don't have a chance to see us in person. And it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great evening with appetizers and refreshments. And just to be able to be in a room with so many people that have been through trials and tribulations, I think that it's something that we could all pick up on and learn from with our experiences and the things that we've been through.
Okay, Jammal, can't bring on a Raptors assistant coach without talking about last night's game. It was the first game back in recent memory where you had a full crowd inside Scotiabank Arena. I wonder what you saw or heard from the team in terms of the lift that gives them when they're on the court and you got 20,000 fans, screaming at the top of their lungs, cheering them on. And then, of course, that nail-biter of a win. I mean, what is it with the Raptors and the Nets this year? You guys have found the magic there.
Well, I hope you're right when you say that.
No kidding,
they have a bunch of players coming back soon, and so do we. But we are looking forward to trying to put ourselves in a position to win every single game. You talk about the electricity in the stands last night. It was like Jubilee because we've been playing, and we've been the only team in the NBA that has been playing without fans recently. So to have those fans come back and the energy, they obviously gave us a lift into that win yesterday. And we hope that we don't ever have to go back to having no fans, because our fans is what makes our team and makes our team tick.
Yeah, of course, and we certainly heard the lively crowd booing Dragic yesterday. That was a little bit of a comic relief there. But what can we expect from tomorrow night's game when they take on Detroit? Do you think that the Raptors will win this one?
I hope the Raptors will win this one.
Yeah.
I think, we put ourselves in a position to compete every single night. The matchups are different from game to game, but our preparation is second to none. Coach Nick Nurse is a fanatic to detail, and we just have a great team. We like the pieces that we have, and we could compete and play with any team in the NBA. We believe that in our hearts.
Well, we've certainly seen that throughout this season. Listen, Toronto Raptors assistant coach, community ambassador Jammal Magloire, good luck with Above the Rim. Keep reaching higher. We do appreciate your time, and good luck against Detroit tomorrow night. Have a good one. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Good luck. Yeah. We told you about a very popular Twisted Sister hit that's been adopted by Ukrainians. Yeah, so the band has given its seal of approval to the song "We're Not Gonna Take It" to be used as a battle cry with good reason. The band has ties to Ukraine, and to talk more about it, we're joined by guitarist, manager, and co-founder of Twisted Sister, JJ French. JJ, thanks for joining us here on CP24 Breakfast. You recorded this song on January 1st, 1984. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that it would become a battle cry for Ukrainian people defending themselves?
First of all, thank you, Nick and Jennifer, for having me. I'm in Mexico right now, and I was on vacation after a 5-month book tour for my new book, and then reality hits you in the face. And then you're confronted with the perspective of life and what's really important. When we recorded that song in 1984, there was no way to have anticipated the resonance of that song and the meaningfulness of that song over the years. But starting about 20 years ago, it was adopted as a battle cry by some politician at some point. And we had heard about it. And then it started coming up more and more and more and more and more. And then all of a sudden, the floodgates opened. And we realized that the song was just gigantic. And then NPR ran a survey of the top 30 songs that unite Americans. This was a couple of years ago. And on that survey, there was Blowin' in the Wind, We Shall Overcome, you know, the standard songs that unite people in times of crisis, especially. And We're Not Gonna Take It wound up at number 3, ahead of Born in the USA and We Shall Overcome and Blowin' in the Wind. And I sat there and I went, oh my God, this is a universal battle cry. So it has evolved into that.
Wow. You know, we've also seen Ukrainians using your song now as their resistance anthem, but another group, let's just say some of the anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers, or people in the recent truck convoy here in Canada have also used it as their kind of anthem. And your frontman, Dee Snider, was pretty vocal about saying, hey, that song, our song, is really not for you.
Yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy, because I'm old enough, first of all, to have gone back to, let's just say this. I lived through the Cuban Missile Crisis when I was 10 years old, and I lived through the Vietnam War. And if you go back to the 60s and you look at the political landscape of the 60s, you'll notice that it was a united group of people. It was young people, basically don't trust anybody over 30, versus the establishment. So when you went to a concert, in fact, Woodstock, 400,000 people, and you stood up on stage and you said, "We hate the president," all 400,000 people agreed. End the war, all 400,000 people agreed. It seemed that everything that we wanted was agreed to by everybody. And times have drastically changed. And now you have these situations in which groups who have different opinions feel different ways, and then you have to kind of mitigate your existence through this. Because my band is a band of essentially 4 surviving members with different political views that run the gamut. You've got people from the left and you have people from the right. So we take a position where individually we can make a statement. This is how Dee feels about his situation. I am from New York City. We were devastated by COVID. To us, it was never a rights issue of you're inhibiting my liberty. We needed to live. We were wiped out. 30,000 New Yorkers died. One of the first people to ever die from COVID in New York City was a high school friend of mine. I mean, I've got 6 people who died within the first 3 months. We never looked at this thing as a liberty issue. This was a health issue. So we don't really understand this issue. As New Yorkers, it's kind of alien to us. It's always, well, wait a minute, you get a measles shot when you're young. You know, you do these things when you're young to prevent health crises. And as far as we were concerned, this was done to prevent the overwhelming disaster to the health systems of various countries that were being overrun by people who were sick and dying. So I can't say that in terms of, that's a personal opinion from Dee, a personal opinion from me. However, again, as Dee pointed out, and he sent out a press release, the song is the song is the song. People are going to adopt it. If you're asking us to take stances on it, we rarely do take, as a band, stances because we reflect a myriad of views within the context.
And JJ, just sorry to interrupt, but we're running short on time. You have connections to Ukraine, both you and Dee, and that makes this, I'm sure, even the more personal.
Well, it's a humanitarian crisis. My grandparents were from Odessa, and Dee's were as well. And this is a humanitarian crisis and an incalculable crisis that no one could have anticipated. You know, you go through life and you see some things and you go through some crises. You know, we went through crises, obviously, with the Kennedy assassination here in the United States, Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, of course, 9/11, all these things. You go through these signposts of life and you say to yourself, man, we got through this. How are we going to get through the next one? Nobody could have foreseen this. This was not foreseen by anybody. We're watching a humanitarian disaster, and it happens to also affect ancestors from our families, but regardless of whether it was personal with us, this is a worldwide crisis. This is genocide. This is awful. People are hurting. I mean, people around the world are hurting watching these people being slaughtered. And there's no end game in sight. And it is absolutely horrible to watch. I think I expressed this on behalf of millions of people who go, where's this ending? Where's this going? Why do we have to have the threat of nuclear arms? I mean, I remember having to hide under my desk in public school doing a test in case a nuclear bomb went off in New York City. I never thought I'd have to deal with that again. And here you have this madman doing this and destroying a country, and it's awful to watch it.
Okay. JJ French, a guitarist from Twisted Sister, really appreciate you coming on to CP24 Breakfast to share with us the history of the song and your story. Thank you.
Thanks, JJ.
See the sun leading us to the land of the lost and the risen lakes. Hear the drum beating us. Our forever surrender, rest is meaningless.
If you don't know the name Charlotte Cardin, well, you definitely will, as she makes her way to become a household name. The talented musician from Montreal has become a breakout star, bringing in more Juno nominations than Justin Bieber and The Weeknd. So Charlotte, congrats on your journey so far. Thanks for joining us this morning. Tell us how you're feeling about all this and the response you're getting so far.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a crazy couple of days ever since the nominations came out. We are so happy. We're so excited about all of this. Obviously, all the nominations were very unexpected and just such an incredible surprise for us. It's just really, really exciting.
And you're nominated for Artist of the Year. That's alongside, you know, Justin Bieber and The Weeknd. What was that like, hearing that nomination and being in that same category with these superstars?
Well, once again, it feels a little bit surreal, to be honest. It's, you know, obviously being nominated alongside artists that I admire and have been listening to for so many years is just incredible. This has all been, really, really fun and just super exciting for the project.
Well, it certainly sounds like the beginning of something very exciting for you and your career, but I know you've been doing this for quite some time. Take us back to 2013. It sounds like that's really when things started to take off for you.
So back in 2013, I was part of a reality show called La Voix, which is the French-Canadian version of The Voice. And that's kind of when I guess I did my first, you know, like professional entry on the music scene. But I did take a few years off after that just to kind of go ahead and figure out who I wanted to be as an artist. Obviously, La Voix is a cover show, so I didn't really get the chance to show off my songwriting skills or my own project, if you will. And so I took a few years to just focus on writing and then figuring out who I was as an artist, and came back in 2016 with my first EP called Big Boy, and finally released my very first album called Phoenix about a year ago in April 2021, and it's just been an amazing journey.
And tell us a little bit more about Phoenix and how you feel like your music has evolved.
Phoenix is a very personal album. It took about 4 years to write and produce the album. We took a lot of time to just make sure the album was exactly what we wanted it to be. And it was a very personal journey as I kind of went through a lot of ups and downs, just kind of reconsidering my whole life and my musical goals and my artistry and all of that. And so it was a very personal kind of a difficult process at the same time. But once I finally released the album last year, I was just so happy to finally put out these very meaningful songs to me. And to figure out and to find out that people are actually relating to these songs and kind of integrating them in their own lives is just, cherry on top of everything. It's just been really, really nice. And people have welcomed the album in an amazing way. So I'm just excited to share it with as many people as I can.
Well, we're certainly very excited for you, and congratulations on all the success. And we'll watch for you in Toronto on May the 15th, okay?
Thank you so much.
Have a great morning. Thanks, Charlotte.
You too, thanks.